everyone, I hope you're doing well today. I've got a really special video for you. This is a compilation video of all of my favorite ornaments, and it is 3 hours long. So sit back and enjoy. Maybe you're doing some crafting or decorating, and enjoy the video, and there's a special announcement at the end. IOD molds. We'll be using Village Market and fleur-de-lis. And I am casting also the lock and key mold because we'll be using that later on. So what I'm using is fabric cast. It's a 50% part 1, 50% part 2. You mix equal amounts and then you stir it. This is a fast casting resin. And so what that means is within about 10 minutes, this will be ready to use or demold. So usually what I do is I put my resin in the largest pieces first. I find that the less resin that I have in my silicone cup, the easier it is to pour. So when I have to go and do the fine, smaller pieces, I usually do that last. I will tell you that the fabric cast resin, it cures very, very fast. So you have to be prepared for that and not make too much up at one time. And know that you need to be prepared to pour it immediately as soon as you mix it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wait for these to cure, and you'll know it's cured. They turn completely white. And as you can see, I'm pulling the lock and key first because I over poured that. And the resin stays pliable for just a little bit when you pull it out, and that is the easiest time to trim it back if you've over poured. So now we're going to start our project, and I am using some tongue depressors that I bought on, I believe I got these at possibly the dollar store. I did buy some more on Amazon in bulk. It was actually cheaper than buying them at the dollar store as far as quantity. But they're readily available and very, very inexpensive. And so what I'm doing here is I have 7 popsicle sticks going across and then 2 going the other way. And I took some Tite Bond on there, and I am basically making a fence panel. So I made a few of those and left them overnight so they're completely dry. Of course, you could hot glue those if you wanted to and be able to use them right away. And so now you can see there's some ends sticking out, and I'm just taking my scissors, and it's very easy to cut those across. They're not very thick. These work really, really great for the project that we're doing because you can use these as standalone decorations, or you can use them as ornaments because they end up being light enough. In any case, what I'm going to be doing first is I am taking the color Everett from Fusion, and it's a kind of a grayish green color. I just wanted a darker kind of grayish, brownish color or greenish color to go over these, and we're going to be just layering paint. So this is the first layer, and I am just using a chip brush to go over this. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to cover most of it. And I'm going to do the front and the back. And I'm going to do all 4 of these. We're making 4. And it's just not necessary to do another coat. It's not necessary to be perfect. We're going to do all 4, and then we're going to let them dry and move on to the next step. So now what I'm doing after my little fence panels are dry, I am mixing Paint Couture's Pine Cone. It's a brown color with a little bit of salt wash to get some texture. And I'm not making a lot. I'm making enough to kind of just add some texture over my little fence panels. We're going to be doing kind of a mixed media situation going on here. So there's going to be a lot of texture and layers to these little panels. So what I'm doing is I'm just using my little Cricut tool here, but obviously you can use a little spatula, whatever you have. You could use another tongue depressor, which I do at some point. And I'm just taking this and kind of scraping it on in different spots. I just want a very random amount of this pine cone with the salt wash mixed around it. I definitely don't want to cover it all. And salt wash is an additive that you mix with your paint. Will give it texture, and it works extremely well. I love it. I use it all the time. So now what I'm doing is I am putting milk paint on with a chip brush. I didn't show you mixing it, but milk paint is a powdered paint, and this is Sweet Pickins milk paint. Window pane is a color, and it is a 50% powdered mix and then 50% water. You mix it and then you put it on, and I'm putting on very, very sparingly, kind of. It's not really a dry brush because I'm adding paint to my brush, but I'm basically skimming over it. I am trying to achieve the look of an old fence, you know, that's been around for a long time and it's been chipping, and when I put too much paint on, I wipe it off, and I know it looks like a hot mess, but trust the process. This is just one of the layers, another one of the layers. So now what I'm doing is I'm going over the castings from the market mold and the fleur-de-lis that we cast earlier with the pine cone color, the same color we used on our little fence panels. And this is the bottom layer. So we're going to go ahead and go over this. We're trying to kind of create a rustic French country look to these with kind of a little farmhouse flair. So they're all going to be similar tones, nothing really bright or different. So we're going to go over all of these and then we're going to let them dry. So after they're completely dry, I am going to go over these, basically skimming the top with that same milk paint, that window pane. And I'm going to leave all the dark areas in the back. I'm trying not to fill those in, and I'm using that same chip brush. I find that a chip brush works really well on this, or possibly like a fan brush. You don't want to be too heavy-handed, or you end up, you know, covering all of your first layer, and you don't want to do that. So I go over all of these with that, and then I let that dry. So this is just a little peat pot that I cut in half. They're very easy to cut, and then I covered it with that same window pane. We're going to use that later. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking some vintage photo from Ranger, and I'm just putting it down on my parchment paper, and I've also added a little gray ink, and I'm taking my little dauber and I'm mixing it with alcohol, not water. And I'm just taking some gauze that I have that's very white, just plain old gauze, and then some other sackcloth material, and I'm just trying to vintage them up a little bit. And the reason I use alcohol is that makes it a permanent color. It won't come off. And anyway, I just did that so that we're going to be using that in a minute on our project. And here's some corrugated cardboard that I got in some packaging, and I'm just going over that with some of that same window pane paint, just to get it ready to use later in our little mixed media project. And then this is just a regular old brown napkin. I end up not using this, but I do that. I put some white on that, and I'm also just taking some burlap and I'm putting some of that same paint on there. And now what I'm doing is I am taking my apothecary labels and I am stamping some of the labels on this paper. And this is a homemade paper, handmade paper that I bought off of Amazon. I like the texture of it. Obviously, you can use any paper that you have. And I'm mainly doing it for the texture. And I'm just using different labels from that set. It's a wonderful set. Obviously, it has all of the different letters that fit inside the labels. I was originally going to type in French what each animal was, and then I decided not to. I don't know, I just got kind of lazy, but that was my original intent, which of course you could do if you wanted to add that twist to this whole thing. I don't know what happened. It was late at night and I just decided I didn't want to look it up and I didn't want to spell it out. So now what I'm doing is I have the ephemeral stamp. I love this stamp, guys. Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful stamp. It has so many different fonts. I have another whole channel that I do junk journals. I think this would be great for people who do junk journals, people that like to make tags. It has so many different fonts. And what I was showing you there is that you could have typed just some of these French words inside the label. And I did not do that, but I was just showing you could do that. Anyway, I am just stamping all over these little panels with different fonts from this stamp. I had so much fun. And I'm using the gray paint, I forgot what you call it, from IOD, not the black, and just going over it all in different places just to give me a background on all of these. And it's just, I had a lot of fun playing with these. This is a great stamp, guys. It really, really is. You can use it, you know, for big projects all in one piece, or you can take it apart and use it for tags. See, all those little pieces come off individually. Plus, there's such a variety of different stamps in there. Oh, I really love this. So you'll see at the little labels, somehow I lost the footage, but I just kind of tore them out with my hands. I put a little vintage photo around the edges, and then I stamped different French words in the middle. You could use that, get that from your ephemeral stamp and put that on there, or I happen to have a stamp already in my stash that had French words that I have no idea what they say. But I'm going over my different castings and also my fence post with a little bit of extra paint. And I'm just using a little bit lighter color of white. And all I'm using on that is called Champlain. And now what I'm doing is I'm heating up my little rooster or chicken or whatever, just to kind of bend it a little, because I want it to fit on that little uh, uh, peat moss half that I have there. And I needed it to kind of form to it a little bit, so I kind of curved it. If you heat up your casting from resin, you can usually bend it a little, and that's what I did. And then I put my Titebond Quick and Thick on there, and then I went ahead and put some clamps on there and just kind of let it sit for about an hour while I did some other things. And so after that, all I really did is I started going through the stash of stuff that we had, like all the different papers and the textures and things. And I had gotten out some old book pages that I have. I have a whole channel, another channel that I have over 400 videos that I did junk journals. And so I have a lot of that in my stash. But mainly what I was looking for is different textures and different colors of paper. And I'm going ahead and I'm just adding all the little pieces and little textures and things on here, just to kind of make a little mixed media situation going on here, and adding as much texture as I can. And I just do that on all of the different ornaments. And the way I work is I put them all the way I want them, and then I pull them all off, and hopefully I can remember how I put it. And then I just start gluing everything on. And sometimes things change, sometimes they don't. But anyway, that's the process that I go through. And that's, you know, it's really fun and very enjoyable. And this is very addictive. Once you do a few of these, you'll get hooked, and they go very, very fast, very fast. As long as you don't overthink things, and that's the key. Just don't overthink it. I promise you, whatever you come up with will look wonderful. When I'm doing these, I'm using a combination of my Titebond and also my glue, my hot glue. You can use whatever glue you would like to use. I like to use a little bit of both on this. You can use whatever kind of glue that you think will work well. This is not a heavy piece, so I don't think you need to really worry too much about anything, you know, construction wise coming off. The only thing I know is on hot glue is that it cannot be permanent after a while. But I use Gorilla Glue, and most of the time I feel like that bonds extremely well. If you notice here, what I did is I crumpled up that label a little bit. I'm trying to add as much texture as I can to this. That is the key to all of it, is texture. and layers, and that's really what makes this look good in the end, is all the different layers, all the different textures. And you really can't appreciate it, I don't think, until you see it in person, and that is when the beauty of it really shows through, is when you can really see all those layers up close. Now here what I'm having to do is I'm going to go ahead and take that peat, the peat planter there, and I'm bending it around the sides, so that gives me something to glue down. And these are very, very lightweight, so they work great for crafts like this. So we're just going to stick that down with some hot glue, and our little rooster has stuck to it just great. And I don't know that I showed you that I did stamp on the front of that also, and then I just add, you know, my little layers on this as I did just like the other ones. I do add a little bit of Spanish moss in there later, and I do put a little glue in there to make it permanent. But anyway, that's pretty much all I do on this one. So after I get that all glued down, I just put some Spanish moss in there. And you know, I did add all of those other pieces that were part of the Village Market mold, the little wheat pieces and the other whatever flowers they are on there too, just to add more dimension. So I do add more of that to all of these. I'm sure you noticed it as I was doing it. So now I'm getting out my rusty wire. I bought this from Factory Direct Crafts. I think you can get it on Amazon as well. And I'm just cutting some pieces that I'm going to be putting through there. And I punched some holes with my crocodile. It punched very easily. I just did a small hole on each side. And then I'm going to take the end of a paintbrush, and I'm just going to swirl it around there to keep the wire from going through, and also to just have a little decorative edge on there. And that is just one more part of the decoration, is a rusty wire. Of course, you could use twine, you could use whatever you have. So that is all I do to these guys, and I think they turn out fantastic. I love them. I think they're very dimensional and interesting, and would be a wonderful gift.
watch out for rain, these are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing, just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, we're chasing snowflakes as they're falling down, and follow Rudolph all across the town. Later we meet under the mistletoe, while Santa's busy saying ho, ho, ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day.
Biblot 2 mold that came out in the 2025 holiday release, and I am using quick resin, curing resin. It'll be 10 minutes. You put equal parts of A and B, and then you mix it up. I've got another mold out. I was going to pour the Santa, but I don't have enough, so I'm going to go ahead and pour another one. I always have one extra, and I go ahead and pour it in and make sure that I get those top little rings. The difference between the Biblot this year and last year is that it does have the little loops on it for you to put a ribbon, and it takes about 10 minutes for it to turn completely white. You do need to wait for it to completely cure before you take it out, because the little parts on top will take a little bit longer. And I'm just kind of digging out that little hole there. It was over poured a little bit before I pull it out, and it will be a little soft when you pull it out, so you need to be a little bit careful. But when it dries hard, it's completely it dries hard, and when it's cured, and you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to take these out. There's a total of 5 in there, and I'm going to be painting all of these just with some basic colors that I have on hand. Some of them are paint couture, some of them are fusion. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to get colors to match what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to do the front and the back. So while I'm letting those dry, I am taking my hot glue gun, and you do have to have a high temperature hot glue gun. You can't have a low temp. It won't work for this. But I am filling my mold, and this is the Victoriana. This is new from the 2025 holiday release. I love this mold, guys. I'm going to try and order a bunch because everything in the holiday release is limited. When they're out, they're out. They won't restock it. So I just think it's something you can use all year long. So anyway, I'm letting those molds dry, and now I'm going over all of my castings that I painted with glue. And while that glue is still wet, just like you would do with glitter, I am putting velvet powder from Pentart on there, and I'm just shaking it on just like you would glitter and going over it with my fan brush. I am just using Pentart's decoupage glue right now, but there is a special glue that I have ordered for this, and what it does is it stays tacky, so it works better for this. You don't have to worry about it coming off after you get it on there. This you have to kind of be careful. It won't come off when it's dry, but while it's still wet, it will kind of come off kind of easy, and that's why the other glue would work better. And you can also use it for foil and things like that, but it should be in any day. You can look for that, but you can use regular glue. You just have to be careful not to touch it while you're working on it. So just put it on. I'm shaking it off. This stuff is so cool. It looks so, it just looks fantastic. Of course, you can use it on any ornaments. You don't have to use it on these. You could use it on plastic ornaments, or, you know, plastic pieces that you may get from the dollar store or something. You could maybe use it on wood. That would be just really cool. So anyway, I'm going to do all of these the same. And it's really just a matter of putting a thin layer of glue on it and then sprinkling it on. You want to make sure that you have a clean sheet of paper that you're putting it on and doesn't have any glue, so it's not sticky. And then, of course, just shake it off just like you would if you did glitter. Of course, it's very powdery, so you want to, you know, be careful not to try and you know, use your heat gun while you have it on your desk or something. It'll make a big mess. That green was a little lumpy, so if you get it, just realize it still works pretty good, but I don't know what caused that, but it worked just fine. Anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm getting some metal pigment powder, and I've got the silver and the gold out, and I'm going to mix those up with some pigment fix. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you know I kind of love this stuff. It makes the most amazing gold. Metallic powder. And basically you mix it with the pigment fix. Mix it up. And it is the absolute brightest metallic that you'll ever see. Of course, you could use any kind of metallic that you have. You don't have to use this. So what I'm doing is I'm painting the little pieces from the Victoriana, and this mixture only takes one coat. It covers so well. It dries very, very fast, and it stays on just about anything. It's fantastic for that. That's why I'm using it on the hot glue. Otherwise, I'd probably have to do 2 or 3 coats. I'm only going to have to do 1. And I'm going to do the top of these little ornaments. Just the top. And I'm not going to do the back. I did do the back on all these ornaments with the velvet powder. I always try and make my back of my ornaments look good, you know, when they're hanging in the tree. And so now I'm going to just use some hot glue to put these on. And the reason that I cast all of these Victoriana pieces in hot glue is that these ornaments are curved, and all of the hot glue pieces will curve very easily and conform to the different pieces rather than a hard casting. Now, of course, you could always use clay to do that, but I wanted to have something immediate, and I didn't want to have clay drying on top of the powder, so this was one way to get around that. And now I'm painting some of the other Victoriana pieces with that gold pigment fix and metal paste. I'm going to go ahead and do this little bow here from the Victoriana. Again, if you were using clay, you could definitely bend it, but in the case of this, I did not want to put clay on top of the ornament and then later have to go and paint around it. I figured it'd be easier to stick it on after I painted it. Now I'm going over this heart ornament with the same pigment powder and pigment fix mixture, and it paints over this stuff really well, and it looks so pretty against that red. I wish you could see it in person. It's really fun to play with this stuff. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue on some pieces to these, and I'm just going to use hot glue. I did paint the back of that bow that's on the green one, just because the little tips you would see the back of it, and I wanted it to have gold. And then I decided to go in and go right up to the edge there on this beautiful heart mold. I love this one. I think I love the hearts the best. Anyway, it has like this little raised portion, so it's really easy to do that. And I'm just going over the back, like I said, because I want those little tips they're going to show on the bow in the back of the ornament, and I just want to make sure that it is covered. And again, I'm using hot glue. I touch it at first, which is not real brilliant, and then I decide to use the edge of my my paintbrush just to make sure I get the glue in there. I'm trying really hard not to get too much glue. Now, of course, a hot glue piece will go on there real easy, and of course it's flexible, so the bow kind of bends and little pieces on the end bend. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint around the other heart. This is the other heart in the Biblot mold, and it has that beautiful scalloped edge. And I'm just going to go around all of it. I'm trying really hard not to get any paint on the back of this because I did the back with that velvet powder. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this bow on there. And of course I do paint the back of it also, just because the little tips are going to show in the back. And again, I'm using hot glue. What's so great about doing these castings in hot glue is that they are conforming to the actual the Biblot ornaments. Now I'm going to do my brown one. I kind of forgot about it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. You just put a thin layer of glue, just like you would do if you were using glitter or something. You know, just do that, and then you put it on. Make sure it's a clean sheet, doesn't have any glue on it. And I use a fan brush to move it around so it doesn't, you know, leave any marks. And that's the difference between using just a regular glue and then the tacky glue that I will get in very soon. You could use part 1 of the Paint Couture 2-part crackle because it stays tacky. But I wanted to show you a different option if you wanted to do that. But that part 1 also stays tacky, and you can use that with foil and everything as well. And I'm just making sure that I get all my little pieces covered. And I actually think the brown is my favorite. So now what I'm doing is I am getting this copper metal pigment powder and mixing it with some pigment fix, and look how beautiful that copper looks with the brown. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to paint the top of this, and then I'm going to paint the little pieces of Victoriana that I'm going to put on it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and glue that little bow on. Again, I'm using hot glue. And look how easily it just bends and conforms to that shape. And it works really well. I love using hot glue in situations like this where you don't want to disturb the surface. Or even if you're in a hurry and you decide, oh, I want to put that little piece on there. So you can see these little pieces of the Victoriana, how well you could use those for so many things all year long. So anyway, here they are, and what I'm going to do now is I am just going to get some different wax paste from Pentart, and I'm using the umber, and I'm using the bronze, and also the antique gold, and I'm going to just go over the edges just a little bit, just to define these pieces a little bit, because there's so much detail in the Victoriana, and I want to make sure I bring some of that out just to kind of, just to accentuate that. Now I will say that the wax does kind of dull down the shine a little bit of that metallic paint that we made.
Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing, just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a night.
And what I have done is I have poured a little bit of mica powder, which you can get online very easily. It's very inexpensive. And I'm going to put a little of this mica powder in the bottom of my molds. And then I'm going to be pouring some clear resin. Now this is not fast curing resin. So it does take at least overnight. Most of them will be at least overnight on the clear ones. And all you do is just mix it up a little bit. I'm not trying to over mix it. I kind of want it to look kind of swirly when it's done. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and mix it separately and put it in, or you could leave it more translucent. It's totally up to you how you decide you want to do this. It will all have different looks depending upon how you put that uh, resin in or how you mix the mica powder. But this is the way we're going to do it on this one. And that kind of turquoise looking one over there on top, that one I did not mix as much mica powder in it, and I left it more translucent. And that way, what I do is I end up putting gold paint on the back of it so you can kind of see the gold through. So there's different ways that you can do this. So just play around with it and see how you want to do it, and you can, just experiment. It's a lot of fun. The only thing is, it does take a little bit longer with the clear resin. I am using Let's Resin, and I got that on Amazon. And it does dry pretty clear. Almost all the resins, because of the mold and the way the mold has texture on it, they won't dry completely clear. But all you have to do is use like a clear type spray or varnish or something on top of it, and then it will be completely clear. So now I'm looking through Kitschy Christmas, and that's in the new IOD release. And there you can see my little ornaments that I made, and you can see that they have a really cool design on them. They're kind of swirly and shiny all at the same time. And I am just putting a few of the transfers on. And I think these colors and the brightness and everything go really well with that kitschy look. And that's what's so great about this mold, the Biblot's mold, is that you can transform it. And you're going to see later on in this video, I use it again, and it has a completely different look. So that's what's wonderful about this. There's so many ways that you can use it. Just adapt it to whatever style. If you've looked out there, you can see many, many different ways that people have used this. And even in this video, you'll see that it looks very, very different depending upon, what colors you use and how you decorate it. So now what I'm doing is, after I put my transfers on, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of gold metallic paint. And this is from Fusion. And I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of highlight some of the areas. There's not a lot of detail on these molds. This one in particular has a little bit of detail, but on the tops of them, they all have the kind of a detailed looking, like the top part on an ornament. And I did paint that gold, and I'm going to go around those portions that are raised there. And then I'm going to go around the sides a little bit just to kind of frame in our transfer. And you can see on the back of that one over there that I did use that gold metallic to paint on the back of it. And I only did it on that one because that's the only one that was more translucent. The other ones you really could not see through. The backs on these, unfortunately, I did not show you in the video, but they're very, very pretty by themselves. So you really don't need to do anything to them. I did place a little eyelet in the little screw eyelet thing in the resin that I didn't show you after it had cured for about an hour or two, and laid it in there. And I'm going to show you 3 different ways that I put the little eyelets in, and that was one of them, and it actually was not my favorite, but that is one way to do it, is you can lay something in the resin as it's curing. And now what I'm doing is I'm going over these after I have painted them all with the gold with some high gloss polyacrylic by Minwax. And I want that glossy look on this. So I will go over this. You do have to seal in your transfers when you're done. And it adds to that whole shine and really kitschy look to this. I love that kitschy Christmas. I love retro, and this is going to go on my retro tree that I have in my kitchen. but the clear really brings out that whole look. And then I just put a pretty red ribbon on it.
Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before. As we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day, yeah. A Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the.
Okay, so now we're going to use our Biblots or Biblots mold again. And you see me pouring the fast casting resin. I use Fabricast. And before it's completely dry, I go ahead and I take a casting that I already did and I put it on top. And what that does is it basically glues the two together. And I'm doing that on all of the Biblots. I didn't show you all, but you just basically put it on top and it will mold together. You can glue them, but it does not turn out as good. So now that I've done that, I went ahead and sanded off the sides on the rough edges. And now I'm taking my little drill. You guys, by the way, Amazon has this little drill on their special Amazon thing. And I love it because it's small and I can handle it, really easily. And so anyway, I just drill a little hole on top. I also showed you my little pokey tool. You can use that. Heat up your resin a little and it pokes a hole in there. And now I'm using these little eyelets that I got off of Amazon a long time ago in a little jewelry kit. And that's what I used on the other portions when I told you I laid it in the resin. I don't like how that works as well. I'll show you later in the last set of ornaments my preferred way. But all I do is I use a little super glue that has the spray that makes it instant. And now I'm looking through Yuletide. And by the way, this is sold out at IOD. Several things have already sold out. So your stockists are going to be sold out pretty soon. I do have some left on my website, my Etsy, and in my stores, but I'm sure they will go very, very quickly. And so now what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and I'm going and painting the castings. And I am using Fusion's Willow Bank, which is a beautiful color. I think the Yuletide is a very cottage core looking transfer set. And I think these colors are very, very cottage core. Beautiful, beautiful colors. I believe I have all of these available on my website and in my stores. This one is absolutely gorgeous. And now I'm going to go on to another one. And this one, oh my gosh, guys. This is a new color called Velvet Plum. It's just a very, very beautiful plum color. Kind of a purpley plum. It's just gorgeous. And they're all a little bit darker and moodier and cottage core-ish, and that's just really popular right now. And so I'm painting that one. I wanted you to see these colors because I just think they're magnificent. I love them. And of course, I paint both sides on all of these the same color. And now I'm using Bayberry by Fusion. This is my all-time favorite green because it's not too bright. It's not too dark. It's just the perfect green to use. And I'm going to go ahead and do that one. And of course, like I said, I'm doing both sides of these. And I do 2 coats. It really only takes one, but it's like one and a touch-up. And then my very last one, I'm using Cranberry. And that is a gorgeous red color with just a little touch of burgundy. Like I said, these are all to me very cottage core looking colors, and I think they'll go really good with the Yuletide. So I'm going to paint those a couple times also. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking my transfers that I picked out, and then I cut this one up. This was that long bird strip, and I cut it, and now I'm using my Santa, and it's really easy to put these transfers on these molds or these castings, because I do believe that they're a little curved, but not too much. So they made these basically as ornament blanks for you to do all this, and they're fantastic for this. So what you see me doing there is I'm taking that little fairy. She doesn't fit on there. She's a little too long. And I'm dissecting her. I'm cutting a little bit off of her legs. And then I'm going to put the top portion on afterwards. And so that way I didn't want to cut her feet off. So if I cut off a little of the middle and then paste her back together, then her feet, I don't have to cut her feet off, or obviously her head. So anyway, I do that, and then I add the top on, and that will put her back together, and I'll show you she looks great. And I go on and I finish, and I add all of my little transfers to all of these, and then we will move on to the next step. And you can see my little fairy all put back together, and she looks good as new. So now I'm using the Gilded transfer that is called Tinsel in the new 2024 release. It has lots and lots of little pieces in there. And I'm just picking out some things that will look good on the back of all of these little ornaments. And all you do on these is you just rub on them just like any other transfer. The trick is not to rub too hard. Basically, they're just like any other transfer. You transfer the pieces over and take a look at them and see if anything's not all the way down. You just go back and rub, and they will come off easily. And they're absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, and definitely a must-have for Christmas. So after I put on all of those transfers and I burnish them, I am taking my gold paint, and I'm going to go ahead and this is my gold metallic paint. I'm just going to go ahead and go over the tops. So they have that kind of a detailed top, you know, that looks like the ornament tops. It's really cool. And remember, we went ahead and drilled in the little screw-on eyelets. I bought mine in a jewelry kit, so I don't know if you can buy them individually. If I can find something like that, like the really tiny ones. I know you can buy bigger ones, but the really tiny ones work great for this. But I did buy the jewelry kit, and I do use different pieces in that jewelry kit. So you'll see me use some other jewelry pieces later too. But now all I'm doing is I'm going to go around the sides of all of these, and I'm going to go touch up. There's a little portion on this particular casting that has like an outline, and I'm going to go over that. Just use a detailed brush. Because these are raised, they're really easy to do. And when I go over the sides, I'm on this mold and the other ones, I just go ahead and just go over the portions that are raised. It's really easy to do. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm trying to make these look a little vintagey, so if they're not perfect, that actually just adds to the vintage look of it. And I'm going to go over all of these with the gold, and then I'm going to take some gold gilding wax by Dixie Belle, and I'm going to go over all of these pieces with that gold, and that's just going to kind of bring it out even more. And that is basically all I do. Then I take my same Minwax polyacrylic in the gloss, and I'm going to go over my transfers. You do need to seal in your transfers, plus this is going to make them pop even more. And so I go over both sides with the polyacrylic, and that is basically all I do. And then I have a beautiful velvet ribbon that I just put through the little, hangers that we attached. And that is all I do on these guys. And I'm telling you, I think they turned out fantastic. I could definitely see making a set of these as, a gift. That would be fantastic. The other side, of course, I'm sealing also. Super, super easy. You could definitely go over these with like a glaze and make them look even more vintage if you wanted to. Make them look a little bit darker. I was trying to keep that shiny look to them, so I wasn't doing that, but you could definitely vintage these up a little bit more if you wanted to do that. You could even go over these with a wax if you wanted to do that. And so now all I do is put my ribbons on and
Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, 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 Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing just you and me.
I'm using my fabric cast, and I am using frames 1 and 2, frames mold 1 and 2. These are older molds by IOD, but they're still out there. I do have a few of these in my on my website and in my stores, but not many. So I think one of these is out of stock. I'm not sure which one it is, but I do have both of them out of stock at IOD, but I have both of them on my website. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and pour these with the fabric cast, which is it works a lot like the Amazing casting resin, but it does cure faster, so you have to be prepared for that. So that is one of the things that I did not do. You're going to find out as I poured way too much. I made way too much, which is fine, but I usually always have extra mold sitting by, and I didn't this time, so I had to get up, go get a mold, put it down, and by the time I did, it was already curing, and I had a big chunk of these that I had to throw away because they were fine on my frames, but I had some tapers that I put on there, and they didn't turn out too well because it started curing. So you do have to be prepared with these. So what I'm doing is on the frames mold, there's one frame that does not have a back, and we're going to make a back for it. So all I did is I taped this down after I took it out, and you take the middle portion out. It has another mold in there. And I'm just taking some more of my fast curing resin. I taped down the sides. I put it on the back of one of my molds. You could definitely just use a silicone mat. And I let that dry, and it gave me a back. And so now what you see me doing is on these frames molds, 3 of them, I'm going to be using bronze metallic. And this is by Dixie Belle. And this is not just a regular bronze metallic. This is a patina that we do put a spray on here. And I'm going to go ahead and paint these. And the way that these work is that you have to do 2 coats. You put 1 coat down and let it dry. And then you put another coat on top of it. And that's when you put your liquid on there that basically gives it the patina, but you have to do that while it's wet. So we're going to go ahead and do 1 coat. And actually on the back, the way the molds work is that they have a texture to it. And so they take the paint really, really well. So this only takes the 2 coats. But you'll see me do the back of these also, because like I said, I care about the back. I want the back to be, look good too, because it flips around in the tree. So that actually takes like 3 coats, because you put your first coat on and you have to have something grab onto, and then I do another coat. So that's what I'm going to do on these. And there you see my mold that I took out, that I went ahead and made a back to. And all I do is I just kind of pull off the extra pieces with my hand, or I cut it. And if you have any stubborn ones, I just use some pliers and chip it off. So now what I'm doing is I am using the gold metallic. Not gold, copper, excuse me. And this one is made by Modern Masters. Both of them work equally as well. I don't have a favorite, but I think the Dixie Belle might be a little less expensive because you get a little bit more in the jar, but they work exactly the same. And I intermix the patina sprays, and they both work on both. What it is that you have a mixture that activates the copper. They have real copper in here and real bronze, and so it activates it. And they both work basically the same. It's just a chemical reaction. So now I'm going over the bronze with another coat, and it's still wet. And I showed you I'm using the Modern Masters green patina, and I put it in a separate cup, and I'm taking a brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and put that patina on there while the paint is wet. That's the key, guys. It can work a little bit when the paint's dry, but it works a lot better if you use it when the paint is wet. That's why you do 2 coats. I have done it with 1 coat before, and it does work, but it does not work as well. So, depends on what you're looking for. And what you're going to find when I do this, I'm making sure that I put the patina in the middle of all of these frames, because you will see that when I put the transfers on, not all of them cover the whole back. So you'll be able to see the back, and I want it to blend in with the rest of the frame and look good, and that's why I do that. So now I'm putting my second coat of the copper on. And yes, I know it looks really bright, but don't worry, we're going to fix all that later. So we're going to go over this. Let me tell you, if you don't have the frames mold for Christmas ornaments, you gotta get those, because you could do this whole process that I'm doing and put pictures of your family, your animals, your pets, your grandkids, your kids. It is, you just definitely, you want to get these because I think they're a must-have, and they're just so much fun. And I even thought would be really cute to make, everybody's doing the gallery walls for the Moody look. You could do a whole gallery wall with these frames. You know, like just a little portion. I think it'd be really, really cute. Like in a small area, like a bathroom or something. It'd be really cute. So now I'm taking the blue patina and I'm going over that with the copper. And it, trust me, they don't dry that color. The blue patina works really good with the copper because it gives it that very turquoise look, you know, that you see in copper. And I do mix the different patinas. In fact, on this one, I take a little tiny bit of the green as this blue is drying, and I mix in a little of, I just put a little bit on top of it that I don't show you, but I do mix them a lot. So now I'm using Crimson Velvet, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, moody looking transfer set. This is so in. I'm telling you, IOD they just nail it. They know, they stay on top of the trend. They stay on top. Anyway, so I am taking a little of the my bronze gilding from Dixie Belle, and I am going over this entire thing with my finger, and I am toning down some of the green, and I'm also going over the gorgeous detail in this casting. Absolutely gorgeous. They're all beautiful. They just have a lot of detail. And by bringing in another color and metallic, what that does is it really, really highlights all of the beautiful detail in there. And just having another color is great. Now see all that green on my fingers? My fingers turned green. That's actually not coming off of the actual castings. What happened is I had it on my fingers, and as I touched the spray, it actually turned that color on my fingers. Okay, that's not actually coming off from the ornament. So what I'm also doing here is this is the copper, and I am taking my brush that has just a little bit of copper left on it, and I am dry brushing over the copper to kind of tone it down a little bit, because it did. What'll happen a lot of times is you can't really control how much patina you get, and if you want to kind of take a little of it off, you basically just take the copper or the bronze or whatever you're using and dry brush over it, and that it picks up all of that copper, and then you have all of the patina in the low portions of it, and that really, really helps make it pop. So now I'm starting with my different transfers that I have picked out, and some of these molds or castings are really small, so I kind of had to piece some things together to do this. Some of them I just took off portions. Isn't that cat beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to cut them to fit. And a few of these, they kind of overlapped a little bit on the sections. And then I just take my finger sander and sand off the extra. And also you just take your little rubbing tool and you rub in. If they're concave, you just kind of rub around it, and it will get in there really easily. But it's super easy to put the transfers on, and this turned out gorgeous. Like I said, I just think this would make a great gallery wall too, not just ornaments. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and be putting all these transfers on, and you can just sit back and watch. So after you put them on and burnish them all, I am taking again my polyacrylic gloss, and I'm going over just the portions where I had the transfers. I'm leaving my patina the way that it is. It is there's no reason to seal it, and a lot of times when I find if I reactivate it with anything wet, some of the patina goes away, so I don't want to do that. So I go all over all of them with the polyacrylic, and that gives them a nice shiny finish. And now what I'm doing is I am just taking a jump ring, and this is a larger jump ring, and I'm putting a tiny bit of my glue on there, and I am laying the jump ring in the glue, and it has a spray that basically makes it instant drying, and that's what I like about it. And so that gives me a big enough portion on top, and I'm adding this gorgeous burgundy velvet ribbon to all of them, and I think these turned out great.
A Merry Christmas Day. Oh, yeah. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before. As we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Yeah, a Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree.
Okay, so I am taking the snow globes mold, and I am going to be casting some clear globes with some clear resin. And I am selling resin on my website now, guys. So if you need some, you can pick it up there. So anyway, the way it works is you put equal parts A and B. And the clear resin takes at least 8 hours to set up enough for you to be able to use it. So I usually do this like at night. And big tip here, guys, use a pizza box or a box with a top. This has a flip box that goes over it. It's not going to touch the actual mold itself, but it will cover it so it doesn't get dust in it. So you mix both parts in equal parts, and you do need to stir it for about 3 minutes. And because you're stirring it so long, it will get bubbles in it. And I use regular rubbing alcohol that I get from the Dollar Tree. I spray my mold with it before I even pour it in there, and then I will spray it after. So I spritz it first, and then I pour it in, and I over poured this quite a bit, but that's okay because the clear resin is super, super easy to cut. It doesn't completely cure for about 24 hours, so when you first demold it, it's very soft and it's easy to just take your scissors and cut it. And I spray alcohol on this, just spritz it, and it gets rid of all the bubbles, and I never have bubbles. So yeah, no lighter needed or a bubble machine or anything like that. So here I have my 2 pieces of resin that I'm going to use, and I am taking just some decoupage glue from Pentart, and I am placing it on the back of the snow globe mold, one of them, and I'm going over this little piece of paper. I have these, I'm pretty sure I have several of them, and I just glue it down so I can see what I'm doing. I don't, have an idea of where it's going, and I obviously have more than I need there, but I will take care of that later. And now I'm going to go over the back of it, and I'm going to go ahead and just basically use my decoupage glue to glue on down the back. And now I've got the other snow globe mold, and I'm kind of just, I don't know for sure what I'm going to use it for yet. And I think I'm just going to do that Christmas tree. In case you haven't noticed, there's kind of a pinkish theme to this besides the lights. Okay, the lights are a theme, but there's kind of, I like to do themes. Sometimes it's kind of hard but to do a theme, but that's what we're going for. So again, I just put the decoupage glue on the back, and I lay it on top of my piece of paper, and that way I can see exactly where I'm placing it. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the decoupage glue on the back, and I'm going to let that dry completely. So now I'm going over a wood ornament that I bought off of Amazon, and it is quite a bit bigger than the actual snow globe itself. So you need something bigger, and I was using Queen's Court by Couture, was that color. And now I'm going over another ornament, and I bought this off of Amazon as well. I will try and link those in the description, and that is with French rose. And I do both sides because you don't want your piece to warp. And now I'm taking my finger sander, and I'm going over and getting the extra paper off with that, and I'm going in a downward motion, and it will take it off and give it a clean edge. Now this one in particular has all the little different fancy kind of scroll work on it, and I have this little tiny sanding thing that I got off of Amazon, and it works really well to get all those little pieces out. So those two pieces are ready to go. And so now I'm going over this French rose with a luxe metallic. This is by Couture, and this is ballet slipper. I let that dry. And now I'm taking some stencil paste from Pentart, and this is their gold stencil paste. And this is a Tim Holtz stencil that I have in my stash. You may still be able to get this one, I'm not sure. And I'm just going to take some stencil paste, and I like to just like glob it on there. And then I have this little, I don't know what it is, it's just a stencil paste spreader. And I'm going over my stencil with it. And I'm going to go over half of this. It doesn't cover the whole thing, so I'm going to do half of it. Then I'm going to let it dry. Or I'm actually going to use my heat gun and dry it before I try and do the other half, because I don't want to smush what I already did or mess it up. And you just lift your stencil straight up, and it turns out beautiful. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other side of this ornament as well. And I do the back of this, but I just don't show you. So I have dried that before I go ahead and put down my stencil again, because you don't want to mess up what you've already done. And I try and match it up as best I can. And I go ahead and do that and put my stencil paste down. And again, I'm using my little tool that I have. I like to put it on, and then I use my little, I like that little rubber thing because it really works well to get the stencil paste in there. And I'm just going to go all the way across it. When that is completely dry, I drill a hole in the middle of my ornament. And now I'm taking my snow globe, and I am going over it with a metallic paint by Fusion, and this is their gold. And then I'm going to let that dry. Now I am fishing through my lights, the same fairy lights, and we will glue the piece that you turn on and off to the back. And now what I'm doing is I'm kind of going in a circular motion, and I'm pushing down the lights because I want all of these to show up in the globe. And I really honestly did not do a great job of placing the lights where I needed them. But, you know, it's my first attempt anyway. But you get the idea. The idea is to give you an idea of what you can do. So you smush them all down, and you kind of decide where you do not have to have the entire string of lights on there. I did the whole string. You can cut these lights, and the end piece obviously won't light up, but the rest of it will stay lit, so you don't have to put as many. And now I'm putting a lot of glue down, and I'm holding it down with my little spatula because you definitely don't want to hold it down with your finger. So you're smushing down all the lights and putting a lot of glue. And what I do is I'm kind of moving it up a little bit, living dangerously here, and trying not to burn my hands. And yeah, I could have done a better job, see up on top there on the left, of moving some of those lights up there before I glued it down. But basically all you do after that is you just glue your snow globe on, and look at that. And it works. It works, and it stays working, and you can turn it on and off. Now here's the thing, guys. I lost my footage of doing my other ornament, but I did everything kind of the same, and I'll tell you what I did. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking some Pentart glitter, and I'm going over the ornament itself on the outside just to add a little bit of sparkle. And I do take some Pentart glue and go all the way around the edges with
Only eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Merry Christmas Day. A Merry Christmas Day. Oh, oh, yeah. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Yeah, a Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas Day.
the Biblots 1 and 2 and the Victoriana. I've got 2 of the Victoriana out, and we're going to be using clear resin, and that is equal parts A and B. You mix those together, and you do have to mix the clear resin quite a bit longer than you do with the fast casting resin. So I mix it about 3 minutes, you're going to get bubbles with it, but I have a way of getting rid of bubbles and pretty easily. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pouring into these Biblot molds, and we're only going to be filling them halfway. We don't want to fill it to the top. We're going to be doing a layering process here, and the first layer needs to only be half full. Now the Victorianas, we're going to go ahead and fill those all the way. So I'm just taking a little stick and I'm moving the resin to go all the way to the edges of the molds. That's really, really important. Even though we're only filling them halfway, we still want that bottom surface completely covered. And now I'm just going in and pouring in some of the Victoriana pieces. I'm not casting all of them, just what I think I'll be using. And I am filling those all the way. So now what I'm doing after I put all my resin in, I'm spritzing my Biblot's molds with some rubbing alcohol, just 70% from the Dollar Tree. That gets rid of any bubbles. And then I am taking some micro beads from Pentart. I'm using champagne and gold, 2 different colors. And I'm just sprinkling them randomly in the resin. And what's going to happen is that these are going to float closer to the bottom of this resin. And just some I'm putting more in, some I'm putting less. And I'm just going to do that across them. I've got a piece of resin I need to fish out of there. But anyway, I'm just going to put both colors in each one just to kind of change it up a little. And after that, I'm going to let it sit for 2 to 3 hours, and this is what it looks like. It basically is going to be dry enough to where we can put on another layer, and we're going to put some more micro beads on top of the dried. It's not completely cured, so you don't want to touch it, but on top of that resin, it's cured enough that those microbeads will stay on that level and not sink down. And I sprayed some alcohol again on the top because I saw some bubbles created. And then after that, I'm going to mix up some more of the clear resin, and I am going to put the clear resin over the microbeads that we just put down and fill up the rest of the mold. And I overfilled it a little bit, but that's okay. It's not a big deal on the clear resin. You can certainly take that off later, but that's why when you first put your resin down, you want to leave room for that second layer, which I did. I didn't really overfill that much, but you're going to go ahead and put some resin on there and then take your stick and go ahead and make sure you fill it in just like you would when that first layer that we did, and go all the way across and get all of your molds ready for another step. So after you do that, what you're going to be doing is we're going to be adding one more layer of beads. We're going to put some more micro beads, and these are not going to stick out. They're going to sink enough into the back that it will still be flat. So we're going to just put a few more micro beads on top, and that is going to just create more suspended beads. So you're going to have multiple layers of beads in there, which is going to really give it a 3D dimensional look. You really can't do this with glitter because glitter tends to clump and stay in spots, so this works way better as far as this look. So I sprayed it with alcohol and then I let it sit overnight, and here you can see I over poured on this a little bit. Very easy to cut this clear resin the next day or the next morning. It really takes about 24 hours to completely cure, but it's definitely workable overnight. And now I'm showing you decor glue, the tacky glue or crackle step 1 by Couture. The decor tacky glue is from Pentart. And you can use either one of those. What you need is a glue that becomes tacky. And both of those products will work for this. So I am taking a fan brush and I am going over all of the back of these ornaments. And now I am taking Metal Leaf by Pentart, and I am going to just put it on top of the back of that ornament. What happens is when that glue dries, it stays tacky. So that allows the metal leaf to stick to it. And I'm going to piece it together on the back of all of these. It doesn't matter if it's pieced or all one piece. You can use flakes if you want to use flakes. I find the whole piece is easier to use, and then you're going to end up with a lot of flakes. I have a little cup handy, and what I do is I just take those little pieces and I put it in this little cup with the top on it, because this stuff is very, very messy. It just flies all over the place because it's super, super light. And you're just going to take a synthetic brush and kind of burnish it down. You don't want to go too hard, but you don't need to feel like it's going to just come off, because that tacky glue really does grab that metal leaf. And you can use any metal leaf. You don't have to use just Pentart. It'll work. And here I'm just gathering up all the little pieces. And so I'm going to do that all the way across. And any spots that I miss, I'm going to go ahead and put some more tacky glue on it. And then we'll come back later and fill in those gaps. And I'm just going to do this to the back of all of the ornaments. If you get any metal leaf somewhere you don't want it, I'm just scraping it off on the edges. Not a big deal. Filling in any spots that I need to, and then putting the leaf back on. And when I get completely done with that, I'm ready to put this chameleon, I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is the bronze, and basically it's a varnish, and it has this really beautiful sparkle to it. Not really glitter, just kind of a sparkly gold effect to it. It says bronze, but it really looks gold. And I'm going over all of these ornaments, and what that's going to do is the cloudiness in the ornaments will go away. They'll be clear, but it's also going to have another dimension and add a little sparkle to it. And I'm going to do that to all of my ornaments and then let them dry. This is on the front, not the back. So now what I'm doing is I am getting the Pentart metal pigment, and this is the gold, and I'm going to be mixing it with Pentart Pigment Fix, and this makes the most amazing gold. I'm going to mix that up. It's in a cup, and it's very, very lightweight, the metal pigment. So it does kind of float around, so you have to be a little careful. You want to mix it to the consistency of paint, really. And look how gorgeous that is. But you can see the little powder flying around. But you want to mix it really, really well. Try and get all that powder incorporated in there. And I'm making enough to complete this part of the project. but you don't want to make too much because this stuff dries really, really quick and you won't be able to use it. So I'm going over all of the Victoriana pieces. I don't know that I'm going to use all these pieces, but I'm not sure what pieces I'm going to be using. And I also am using a few pieces of some other molds. I'm using part of the snowflake mold and the unicorn mold. And I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of do a bunch of pieces that I think I might use later. Worst case scenario, if I use them on something else, I could always paint them a different color. But anyway, I'm just going to go through and paint them all and get ready for the next step. So here's our ornaments. You can kind of already see how transparent they are. And I'm going to go ahead and take that same gold and go around the tops of the ornaments. This one has kind of a border around it. I'm going to go around it, and on the other ornaments, they all have spots where you can kind of highlight in the gold, and I'm just going to do that on all of the different ornaments. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking all of the little pieces that I painted and trying to figure out what ornaments that they can go on. And you can kind of already see the three-dimensional nature of those ornaments with the gold leaf in the back and then the beads, and it really is already pretty just the way they are. So I am going through several different books. And this is the new IOD Figgy and Flourish. And I've picked out this Noel that I'm going to put on the bottom of that. And like I said, you don't even have to add all these other things. They're pretty just the way they are. But I'm going to go ahead and put that Noel on the bottom. And then I want to put that bow from Victoriana on top. So I'm going to heat up this casting. And it bends pretty easily. I have found that the clear resin, even after it's cured, it just heats up and bends better than the quick casting resin. You know, if you're thinking about just making some to have around to use later. I need it to bend because I need it to glue on here, and I'm using a quick drying super glue. You basically put your super glue down, and then there's a fast acting spray, just because I want that bend to stay in that, and it works quickly. So again, I'm looking at the new Figgy and Flourish, and they have letters in there, and I'm going to put a B on this because my husband's name is Brett and it's a heart, so I'm making an ornament for him. I don't know that he'll really appreciate it, but anyway, so that's something to think about. I love this heart. It really is pretty. So you do not have to rub very hard on these. You just have to make sure you go over the portions that you want to transfer. And I tend to burnish them with my fingers because they're very delicate. So on this little part, I'm taking off that middle tassel. I don't want it to obscure the B. So I'm putting my super glue on there, and I kind of moved out the other two tassels. I bent them. And again, I'm just gluing that on the top of the ornament. Later, I am going to tell you why I should not be gluing any of those things on yet. If I had to redo it, I would have waited, and I'll tell you why later. So now this is probably the one I ended up using the most. This is the Emporium. And this has all different types of like background foil, you know, just everything you can think of between script, and it just has all kinds of stuff. And on that, I just outlined the piece that I needed, and then I cut it out, and now I'm going to put this on the middle. And I actually did it a little bit too small because I wasn't really taking into account the little concave portion of it. So I just took the other pieces and added on, and I think that rose will be really, really pretty in the middle. So this is Petite's Ornaments, and I see that little label. It has a lot of labels in it, so I'm going to put a label on this one, and I want to put something in the middle of that label. So now I'm going to Figgy and Flourish, and I got distracted. Squirrel. I found something I'm going to use on something else. I have to do it while I'm thinking about it because I'll forget. So I'm going to put this on the Noel. I kind of felt like it needed something there, like right underneath there. Although the negative space in this stuff is really, really pretty. Like I said, you don't really even have to do all of this, but all of the layers, I think, was make these look so unique and so special, and the 3D effect. So get this, guys. I cut out just that little section right there in the middle of that, and I'm going to put that in there. It says Season's Greetings, and it fits right in the middle of that label. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to put that little bow on top. So really, just get out any of your Gilded transfers, and you'll have a blast. Now, I will have to say the Emporium, it just had so many different things that you could use. This I just cut out a square, and I'm just going to, I kind of centered it on the middle of this ornament, and I'm just going to go over it. Of course, save all your little scrap pieces because you can use them on other things. Now, look how beautiful that turns out, even without doing anything else to it. It could be, that's gorgeous just the way it is. Okay, so I'm heating up this other piece. Because these ornaments are, you know, rounded or they have a bend to them, you have to, you know, get them to bend. You got to get the additional pieces to bend when you glue them on. And that's what I'm doing here. I hold it down until it's stuck just so that I know it'll stay. And then this is another piece of the Emporium, and this is like just roses. You don't think that these pieces will work well, but as a background piece, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you can't tell it's a rose, but look how beautiful that is. I missed a spot on top, so I went ahead and just took a little piece and put it in there. As I said, these are gorgeous just the way they are. You don't have to add anything else at all to them. So I found another piece. Now this is a rose. I think this rose came from the unicorn mold. It's just like that was from the summer release. And here I'm going to just use the script from the Emporium. So I cut out just a square, bigger than I needed it, but save all those little pieces, guys. You can use it on so many things. And I'm going to put that snowflake on there. And of course I heated it up because I want it to bend and I want it to, lay flat. Now on this, look, see, I'm just taking those pieces on a piece I already used from the Emporium, and I'm going to fill in that little heart with it, just with that leftover pieces. So on this one, I go in and this is Figgy and Flourish, and I'm going to cut out part of this. Don't worry, guys, I'm going to use that frame on something else at some point. I take this portion of it out, and I figured it'd fit great right there. So I kind of center it, get it where I want it, and I'm going to put that on there. And it turns out beautiful. You just have to realize that on any transfer, you can cut them any way you want, layer them any way you want. And I'm seeing that there's kind of a blank spot on the other side, so I'm going to just take part of what's left over, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that in and just kind of get it to be more balanced. And I think that turned out great. And put that little bow on top. And now what I'm doing is, on the original Biblots, they did not have a hanger piece, so I'm adding these little pieces. These are bails for necklaces. I just put glue on it and spray it. And now I'm showing you that I am using this is from Pentart, and it's pouring glaze. And this is where I'm telling you that if you do this, don't glue on all those other little pieces first, and put your pouring glaze on first, and then glue on all of your other little pieces. It would be a lot easier. You won't have any chances of dripping or anything like that. So I use the pouring glaze because it's super, super shiny, and it's thicker, and you have to use less coats, and that's going to make these really shiny. But anyway, future reference. So now I'm just putting some gold ribbon on it. I'm putting a bead at the bottom to make it look a little bit more finished. And here they are, all finished.
And later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door. Lovely songs we all heard before. As they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Merry Christmas Day. watch out for rain, these are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing, just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house.
We're going to be pouring some resin, and you use, this is quick curing resin, so 50% part A, 50% part B. I have these little cups I got off of Amazon, like a ton of them, and I just measure to whatever level I need and then make the other one equal, mix it up, and I mix it till it's clear. And I'm going to go ahead and just pour it right into my molds. And the molds that I'm using today are Biblot 2, or Biblot 2, Ginger and Spice, and Victoriana. Now, the Ginger and Spice are from past years. I think I have a few of those. Not positive. I bought them retail from somebody, so their price is a little more. But if you don't have those, you definitely can just do the first part of this video. But I'm going to go ahead and pour them, and I'm going to have to come back in, and I didn't pour enough to get everything that I wanted. So I'll come back in and I'll do that little lady. And I'm making sure that I get the tops of all of the Biblot mold, because this year is different than last year. If you got yours, you had to add a top to it, which is really not hard. I will show you how to do that later. So one thing that I always do on my molds is that I usually, if I have a small piece that I'm trying to fill with resin, I usually wait till I'm at the end of my resin, because the less you have in your cup, the easier it is to pour. And I also have these little squeezer droplet things, because this Victoriana is very detailed and it's hard to pour. And the little droplet, you get a ton for very little. And a lot of times I will do that. One thing that I make sure I do on any of the molds that I have to trim back is that as soon as they are ready to pull, I pull them and I trim them while they're still kind of soft. So I always make sure that I don't let them sit too long, because then it's a lot harder. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let those cure, and you'll know when they're ready when they turn white. Now, the thing on the Biblot mold is you'll see that the very top of the mold will take a little longer to cure. Just be careful pulling it out, and then just reshape it and set it somewhere flat, and it'll be just fine, and it'll be very sturdy. But the way that this resin works is it seems counterintuitive, but the thicker pieces cure faster than the thinner ones. Now see, these are very flexible still. And I'm going to be bending these pieces of the Victoriana, and I'm going to be putting them over this part of the Biblot mold. They fit perfectly. I'm sure that was not a coincidence. So I'm going to bend it over that and make sure that it fits on there. And now I have some CA glue, and this is just basically a super glue that you use with a spray, and it will immediately adhere that. I like using that better than hot glue. Hot glue has too much density, and it makes it kind of goopy, and it's not permanent. So now what I'm doing is I am going over all of these ornaments that I have added different pieces to. I've taken the different pieces of the Victoriana and I've added different pieces to them. And I'm going to paint them all with one coat of pine cone. And this is by Couture. And this is just their chalk paint. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to paint over them again in another color. But I want to just get one good coat down with all of these. And move on to the second coat. And I'm also painting all of the ginger and spice pieces as well. So I guess you can tell at this point what we're making is we're making obviously gingerbread things, which is really the hottest big trend everywhere. So this is a really fun way to make a bunch of ornaments to put on your tree if you're wanting to do that. Now, I realize that some of the pieces may not be what you would see on your typical gingerbread, but I couldn't help myself. I love that Victoriana. It has so many pieces in it that you can mix and match and use on so many things. I'm definitely going to have to stock up on that one because it is a limited edition mold. So if you want it, you better get it because IOD won't be restocking it. And when your stock is run out, you know, that's when they can get expensive or almost impossible to find. So now what I've done is I have mixed up a little bit of several different colors. I have taken Pine Cone from Couture, Coral Passion, and a little bit of Sienna, the Alchemy from Fusion Paint, because I wanted it a little bit lighter than the Pine Cone to make it more gingerbready. I think I could have even gone even lighter. A good color that if you wanted a lighter look, I think would be the Modern Rattan from Couture. It would be it would be a light kind of color to use. And in hindsight, maybe I don't think I really got how dark it was going to dry. And anyway, so this is me going over the front and the back. I always make sure I do my back, and I am doing it with a stippling motion because I want this to look like gingerbread. And now what I'm doing after these are dry, I'm spraying them with, I have Sweet Pickins satin top coat, 50% water and 50% top coat. I do this all the time. It makes it so easy. And I will spray that with this top coat to seal it. And also it'll make it easier to do the next part that we're doing. I have a couple of snowflakes from their snowflake mold. You definitely do not have to have this to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and one of them I cast in clear resin and one I did in the fast curing resin. I will say if you're ever going to want to use your resin and heat it up to make it flexible again, the clear resin seems to do a lot better job of that. I think the fast curing resin tends to be a lot more brittle and it's a lot harder to do that. So maybe if you're making a bunch and you think you're going to do that, you may want to use a clear resin. So now what I'm doing is, this is the clear resin one. I am heating it up with my heat gun because I want to get this to form over this Biblot mold. And the way to do that is to heat it up. And again, I'm going to use my CA glue, and I'm using a little stick to put it on because my stopper got clogged up. And I'm just going to press it down really good, and you can see it's completely conformed to this Biblot ornament just by heating it up a little bit. And I've probably had that casting sitting there forever. And of course I will spray it with this fast curing. It's I don't know what it is. It makes it immediate hold. And that's why it works so well with this, is that a lot of people use hot glue, but I just don't like that it just seems like it's too thick to go when you're trying to make something really stick to it really well. So I will say that the resin, fast curing resin, is not as flexible after heating it up as the clear resin. But it does definitely conform, and I'm just going to push that down and hold it for a couple seconds, and it will kind of bend and conform, and then I will spray the adhesive on, and then it will be permanent. It will not move. And it's a great way to, if you're trying to get things to conform. So now what I'm doing is I am taking Paint Couture embossing medium, and I am mixing it with Oyster Pearl, and it's a Luxe Metallic by Paint Couture. That's the Luxe Metallic. And the reason I'm doing that is I want something that has the texture of frosting, white frosting, that you would find on gingerbread. I don't want to just paint it with white paint, and I don't want to use puffy paint because I think it's kind of hard to work with. But you know, you definitely could do that. And I also didn't have any on hand, so this worked really well for me. So I'm going to go over this. I'm using a fan brush to kind of go over this, and then later on I'm going to come back in and add more because it didn't end up with enough. If you want just a little, definitely you could do that. I think that looks good too. And then I'm just going to take my paintbrush and put it wherever I want, and I'm not trying to be super accurate. I want this to look like frosting, and it looks in person you can tell. I don't know if you can tell there. It looks kind of thick like frosting would look. It has definitely has a texture, and that's why I'm going to go back over this with just spots here. I don't want to cover up all of the brown on the snowflake, but I want it to definitely look like icing. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of my ornaments. I'm just going to go in different spots all over. You definitely could decorate it with dots or zigzags or however you do your gingerbread. I just did it how I thought it would look good, and went ahead and I did that first coat, and this is with the Oyster Pearl and the embossing medium mixed together. And if you notice, I'm kind of stippling this on, and the reason I'm doing that is that I want it to have texture, and I want it to look, I don't want it to look flat like, you know, paint would. And I'm going to do that for my first coat because embossing medium is a thicker kind of paste. So by mixing it with the Oyster Pearl, it'll give it some, you know, shine and glisten, kind of like a icing would. But it's also, by putting in the embossing medium, it's going to give it some texture and make it a little, it's thicker and basically fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going over all of these with that one coat of this first. So I'm going to continue to go over all of these with that mixture of the embossing and the Oyster Pearl, and I stipple it on. Now on these very detailed ones that are from the Victoriana that I put with the Biblots or Biblot, I'm going to go ahead and go over this just with the Oyster Pearl. I don't want to use the embossing because it's kind of thick. And these are very, very detailed, beautiful little florals on there. And I don't want to take away all of that detail by putting the embossing in there with it. So I'm going to go over the two that I did with those pieces from the Victoriana. And I'm just going to do the Oyster Pearl without the embossing.
Santa hood beat through the sparkly winter night.
Okay, so now what I'm doing is after that first coat is dried, I'm kind of lightly going over the tops with just the Paint Couture Oyster Pearl. And what that's going to do is that's really going to make it look like icing because it's going to be super shiny and glossy. And we already have the texture in there. And I'm not trying to go all over it again. I'm just kind of going over the tops with it. And that's going to give it a nice little shiny look to it, just like icing would. And I'm going to go, now these I did just with the oyster pearl to begin with, but I'm going to go ahead and go back over all of these too with the detail, just to give it a little bit more of a shine and metallic, make it look a little bit more like icing. And I'm going to do everything with those.
All wrapped up in red, I keep on dreaming of his face. He just melts my heart away. I'm all glittery 'cause he makes it feel like Christmas every day. Now the winter's here to stay. All I want is this embrace. Maybe it's crazy, but he makes it feel like Christmas every day. Dear Santa, hurt me through the sparkly winter night. He starts up a Christmas tree with every jingle bell. I know we found.
And on this one, I decided to go up and down the sides. And like I said, guys, I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm trying to make it look like it's real icing and it's not just painted on. And I am using the mixture on this of the oyster pearl and the embossing, and then I'll go over it again with just the oyster pearl because again I want it to look a little thicker like frosting. And now I'm using that same combination to go over one of these little hearts in the middle. It's almost like these are made to look like gingerbread, guys, so you have to. Now I can't bake anything. I'm not allowed to bake anything and if I do, nobody ever eats it, so I don't. I buy things, but definitely these, you could definitely use these to make some gingerbread cookies. So I'm going over this in the middle, and I'm going to go over it a couple times. And this is with the mixture, and then I'm going to go ahead and go over it with just the oyster pearl metallic.
Every day I've been here waiting all day. Santa, are you on your way? And so I'm going.
So now these little snowflakes come from the snow globe mold. You definitely don't have to have those, but we're going to do something with those. I'm going to put 2 of them on that one heart that the little heart that I put the white in the middle. And then I'm going to put some jump rings through them. I just kind of punched a little hole with the tip of my scissors. And I know I'm not on camera real well. And I'm using these big pliers because I can't find my jewelry pliers because I've been straightening out my craft room and, you know, I'll probably never find them again now. So anyway, I'm putting a small jump ring on the snowflake and a large jump ring on the Biblot, top of the Biblot mold. And I'm just doing it on a couple of them. And that's just to have those little snowflakes dangling off of the top. Just a little added feature. So now we're going to our little ginger and spice people, and I really, this happens to me all the time. I really didn't think I would like this. I had the mold. I've never used it. It's the first time I've ever used it, and I had so much fun painting these guys. And they make it so easy because they have all these little textures and all these little places where you can just, you know, your paintbrush lands. Like the jeans, they have that look of jeans when you paint them. Now I'm using the Luxe Metallics in several different colors, guys. I'm going to try and remember which ones I used where. But I used slate blue on the jeans. And I actually went back in and mixed a little bit of sky blue, kind of went over them here. Just to kind of, you know how denim is not just like, you know, it has kind of different colors of blue in it. So I thought I would do that. Just was having a good time painting these. They were a lot of fun. And the reason I used the Luxe Metallics is I thought, well, I didn't want to just do them white. Because, you know, but I thought the Luxe Metallics would look like icing. If you had different colors of icing. And I think it kind of does. I believe that this one is, this might be teal or Amazon. I don't know which one. But it's one of the greens of the Luxe Metallic. And I'm going over the sweater. You got to give it to him. The sweater really is cool. And so I'm going to go over that. It's got all the ribbing just like a sweater would. You could have a blast doing these, you know. I mean, I had the best time painting these. He's even got a bow tie on this guy. So I'm going to go over all of these and just paint them up with different colors. I use all Luxe Metallics on these guys. I use Love Struck, Cherry Blossom, Red Velvet, slate blue, teal, sky blue, Amazon. Anyway, yeah, those are the colors that I used. And I just kind of went across and just played with the different colors. And I put it on pretty thick, but just kind of one coat. These Luxe Metallics are very rich. And I just kind of did all of them and went over the different parts of their clothing with basically all I used was the Luxe Metallics. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of that oyster pearl and I'm going over the top of that one lady to see how it would look. And now I'm putting these bales on the back. I put a drop of super glue, then I spray it, and look at that. I got these off of Amazon. They're very inexpensive. All you do is put a dot of glue. It works for any ornament. And then you just, it's instant. And then you just go ahead and put your little bale on there and spray, and it's on, and it's not coming off either. You could, I guess, put a little glue on the outside of it just for extra protection, but I haven't really had any come off. So anyway, I do that to all of them, and that's where we're going to make these into ornaments. Of course, you could just have these, you know, in a bowl or something, or they're just adorable. I really like these. And I didn't really think I would. Now what I'm doing is I really like that look of the white over the colors. Just I'm dry brushing the oyster pearl over all of them just to give them more of an icing look. And these molds are very detailed. Of course, IODs usually are. And this is just going to catch the tops of that and really show all of the detail, like in the sweater and the jeans and that little dog. Isn't it adorable? But anyway, I'm going to do that on all of them. So now I've got this pretty green ribbon that I got off of Amazon. It is just a velvet ribbon, a double-sided velvet ribbon, and I'm going to go ahead and just string it through. It fits fine through the little bail that I put on top. And I'm just going to tie it on top, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do to these, and I absolutely love them. I think they're adorable. I really, really, really was not thinking I would like, but they were fun to paint too. And I think this would be a great project if you've got grandkids that are old enough to paint, to make a bunch of these and do them together. Be so much fun. Anyway, so I do that, and those are all done.
Even off his face, he just melts my heart away. I'm all glittery 'cause he
So now all I'm going to do is I've got some red velvet ribbon, and I'm going to do that on all of the other little gingerbread cookies that we did from the Biblot 2 mold. And just go and I think it looks good on those. And yeah, just going to go and just add them in there. Now, of course, they already have the little loops in there, which are great. That's wonderful.
We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Merry Christmas Day. A Merry Christmas Day. Oh, yeah. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Yeah. A Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas Day. Jingle bells ringing in my ear.
I have these Highland cows, and there's 9 to a sheet. I don't know what happened to the first part of it, but anyway, they're all really cute. And I used my water pen to circle around them so that I could just tear them out because this is rice paper, and it has a very fibrous feel to it, and what it'll do is it'll fray on the ends and it looks more organic. So I'm going to tear out 8 of these because we're going to do 4 ornaments front and back. And what I'm doing is I have these little rounds that I bought off of Amazon, and they're little ornaments, and I am covering them with Amber Honey Glaze by Couture. This is just a kind of a light glaze, And I'm going to cover all of them, and I'll wipe them back a little bit with a wet wipe just to make them a little bit lighter. But I wanted the wood tone to be a little bit darker on this. Now you could have painted the back of the decoupage or painted the middle of the ornament with white, but I did not do that to make your decoupage pop more. But I think they turn out pretty good without that, but that is something that you could add if you wanted to do that. And now I'm just using Paint Couture's decoupage gel, and I'm going to go over that and put the cow down. And these are so small that it's really easy. You're not going to get any wrinkles, especially with rice paper. Rice paper doesn't really wrinkle very much at all. So anyway, you go over all of these, and I'm doing front and back. So we'll have a cow on each one. I just think these are so adorable. And I do have these in stock, guys. I got a lot of them because I knew you guys would like them. So now I'm taking a snow pen from Pentart, and I'm kind of squiggling around in a circle around the Highland cow. And then I'm going to take a brush, and I'm going to stipple it on because I want little peaks, and I want it textured like snow would be. And I'm going to go around the cow. Now, another thing you could have done too is you could have put the snow down and then put the cow on top of it, but that's kind of a waste of your snow. I would just put your paint down and then do it. So and then after that snow dries, I'm going over this with a snow crystal paste, and this is completely translucent when it dries, but what it does is it makes that snow sparkle. I think it's cool to have both because then the snow looks like it's glistening. And if you have it in your tree with lights, then your ornaments are going to glisten. And of course I stipple that on as well because I want texture so it looks like snow. And I go all the way around, and I do that to all of them. Now I'm letting those dry, and I've got some wood beads, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in a plastic cup, and we're going to be painting these, and we're going to be using pressed fern and Fort York red, both by Fusion. And I'm going to just go ahead and swirl those around in there with a little bit of paint and try and get a little bit of the inside of the beads as well, so in case they show. And the great thing about the Fusion paint, it has a primer and a top coat built in, so that makes quick work of this little part here. I do like using Fusion paint for my projects, especially when I'm mass making, because it saves me time, and I think in the long run it saves you money because you're not having to put a primer or a top coat on things. It just seems like it makes things just go a lot quicker for me. So anyway, now what I'm going to be doing is letting those dry, and then put them on this twine on each of my ornaments. And I just string them through there, then tie the top, and then cut it off at the very top. And that could be the end, but I have this little bit of Christmas pine that I'm going to put on there, and it actually comes in a bigger piece, and I cut it down so I could get it to fit on there. And I just glued all the pieces on one side of this little Highland cow ornament, And on the other side, I put a rusty star. And I was going to use my snow pen again, but then I decided I also have snow paste and snow crystal paste. And it comes in a jar. And I thought, well, I'll just use that because it would be easier on the foliage with a brush than it would be with a pen. And then I'm going over the star a little bit. I'm plugging the little hole that comes there and just putting a little bit on the top of that star so it looks like it snowed on the ornament. This is a this is a blizzard video, guys. A lot of snow. A lot of snow. So anyway, I do that to all of them. So
It's you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door. Lovely songs we all heard before. As they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. We're chasing snowflakes as they're falling down and follow Rudolph all across the town. Later we meet under the mistletoe while Santa's busy saying ho ho ho. We're feeling jolly eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door. Lovely song.
okay, so again, I've got the Biblots 2. I'm going to be painting these with one coat of buttercream chalk paint by Paint Couture. It's just a plain old chalk paint. It does not have a top coat in it or a primer. And I'm going to go over it with one coat and just let that dry completely. And then I'm going to go over it with another coat. We're going to be doing an inlay. I am going to press that inlay into that wet paint. I went ahead and misted the paint side of the inlay. I'm going to just press that down on that ornament. And just, I'm going to use a wipe to make sure it's making good contact with that paint. And I'm going to just repeat that several times. There's a total of 5. The one that I just used is the Delft Azure. There are so many little pieces, guys. If you get inlays, so many little pieces that you can always use. This one that I'm using now, this comes from the La Folie or La Folie. That is this year's inlay. Oh my gosh, guys, it has so many pretty florals in it that definitely can be used all year long. And again, I'm going to go ahead and paint this and put this in. What I decided to do, though, is I cut out all of the pieces that I'm going to use on all of these ornaments and decide to go ahead and just kind of mass produce and go ahead and paint all of them. and then let them dry. You can tell that color buttercream is very close to the color of the resin. I could probably have gotten away with not painting them, but for what I'm going to do, I wanted to go ahead and put one coat of paint on. Now, I will say that I did not wait long enough before I put my second coat on. You want to make sure each coat is completely dry. But, because I'm doing a video, I'm in a hurry. I'm usually in a hurry anyway, but so I'm going to go ahead and put a coat on the back as well, just so that it matches the front. I am going to be going for a very vintage kind of porcelain look when we're done with this. And I want it all to, match. And I like my ornaments to look good on the back. Now, you definitely can make double-sided ornaments with these because you can place your resin on top of your resin that's not dry all the way and make it double-sided. But I did not. So what I did is I put some fresh paint down after that first coat was dry, and then I misted the paint side of my inlay, and I laid it in there, and I smashed it all down, kind of smushed it on there, make sure it's making good contact with that paint, or if we're using a top coat. That's probably the most important thing, is making sure it's making good contact. And I also missed it sometimes on the back. That's just, you want to make sure you activate that paint when you lay it down. And I also used Ditzy Bloom on the other one, and 12th Night. This is the La Follette. The one before that was Ditzy Bloom. It was just a little piece of a flower. You get so many pieces with all of your inlays that you're going to have lots of little pieces, so why not use them for something like this? This one, I don't remember what this one is, guys. Petite Floral, I think. And that just fits perfectly in that heart. I think it's a Petite Floral pink. There's a pink and a red. I don't know if I have any red left. Oh, and that's another thing, guys. The only thing other than like the Christmas release that is limited is always their inlays. Their inlays are always limited. Once they run out, they don't keep making them. So you can't get them. So if you want an inlay set, make sure you get it while you can. And the last one I put on there was part of the 12th Night from this year. Those little horns. And after I let it dry completely and the paper is opaque, I go ahead and mist it and let that paper get wet again to activate that paint again so we can peel it off. And I really did not let that first layer of paint dry really well, so I have a little bit of problems with it chipping, but that is 100% okay because that's kind of the look we're going to be doing anyway. So it's not perfect, and inlays can be not perfect. And the thing is, guys, it looks like a hand painted item when you get done. It really does. So I always, if I'm having any resistance, just put a little extra water down and see how that peeled off in the corner there. And that really is because I did not let that first layer of paint dry completely before I put the second layer on. So you want to make sure you let it dry. And here I am. I'm going to add a little extra water and then peel this up. That usually helps it from peeling off. A little bit of this did not come off, but that's okay if it's not perfect because we are going to be distressing this anyway, and it would look funny if it was absolutely perfect. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking some of that buttercream chalk paint and I'm going over the edges of the inlay. Sometimes you'll get like a little line, and if you just kind of dab it on there, just kind of with a pouncing motion on that line and blend your paint in, it will make that line completely disappear. And I do that all the time. And as you can see, they're not perfect, but they're good enough. I've got enough of an impression on here that I think that they're going to turn out just perfect because I don't want them to be perfect. So as I go over all of those, I'm going to let that paint dry completely before I go on to my next step. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my inlays are dry completely, and then I'm going to go over them with my mister bottle that is filled with 50% clear coat and 50% water. And now I'm going to dry them again after I do that. So the clear coat is dry, and now I'm going over this with this is Paint Couture's I believe that this is French gold, and I'm going to go over the whole. It's kind of a cross between gold and silver, so it's kind of a lighter gold color. And I'm going to go over all of the little tops and the little edges with this French gold. And of course I go over the backs as well. Now we did put a clear coat on that spray clear coat. And guys, you can use any clear coat. The reason you mix it 50-50 with water, otherwise it won't come through your mister. And I'm not spraying it on, I'm using a mister. And actually it's just a mister that I got with some air freshener product that I got at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Of course, I don't know if it's $1.25 anymore. It's probably $3. But I use those old mister bottles all the time and they work great. So I'm going to go over the back of these. Now this is going to take a couple coats simply because the backs are kind of shiny and they don't they don't take the paint as well. Now I will say that Pigment Fix mixture with that metallic powder, that only takes one coat. It covers amazingly, but the metallic paint is gorgeous, guys. Yeah, there's so many beautiful metallics. But anyway, I love this color because it's light. It's not super heavy. And for what we're doing, I think it's going to work really well. And I'm going to go around all the little edges and kind of highlight things. Alright, I'm going to make sure that that paint is completely dry. And now what I'm doing is I am putting part 1 of Pentart's 2-part fine line crackle. And it is a kind of a Elmer's glue consistency, kind of. And you kind of go over it and you're just going to let that set and dry completely. Now, in full disclosure, I am going to use my heat gun because, again, I've got a video that I'm doing. I really do think on the part 1, it is best to let it just dry naturally because it does have a tendency to bubble if you use a heat gun and make little dots. And I get a few of those, but if you're in a hurry, you can use your heat gun. My suggestion is make sure you keep it moving and keep it away. So after that dries completely, it'll be transparent. And now we're going to go over it with step 2. Now step 2, I actually like using my heat gun because it tends to make it crackle more with your heat gun. But again, you don't want to get too close with your heat gun and you want to keep it moving. And that will cause it to have more crackle. It's very, very shiny. And I have used this over inlays before and no problems whatsoever. I've used it over transfers, no problems whatsoever. Especially if you put a clear coat down before you use it. So after it's completely dry, you won't really be able to see the cracks. But what I'm going to be doing is I am using Pentart antique paste. And this is the antique paste in the antique gold. And what that's going to do, I'm using a stencil brush. This is a JRV brush. Their stencil brushes are great. But I'm swirling it around, and that's because the crackle is so fine that you will not see it otherwise. And then I wipe off the excess of it, and after I do that, I'm going to make sure that I have everything completely dry. And I do use a stencil brush and use a swirling motion because it's really hard to get it in those little tiny little fine lines with just your fingers or a regular brush. So I just swirl it. So after I do that, I am going over this, and this is with Pentart glossy varnish. And this is the one that has a little bit of a tint to it, which I absolutely love. It's a very light tint. And that is a solvent-based sealer. You have to use solvent-based products on your fine line crackle, or it'll just mess it all up. It won't work.
Christmas Day. Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. Oh.
We are going to be using Angelic tapers, and we are going to be casting them in resin. And this is a fast casting resin. I'm using Fabricast. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix it. It's 50% part 1, 50% part 2. And then you just mix it up. And I'm going to go ahead and cast it. And I am going to be showing you how to make your tapers double-sided, because that's what we're going to be making here. So what you do is you basically cast it one time, and then you take your completed casting and you go ahead and cast again the second time. I'm making sure that I have plenty in there. And then you just add your other taper, your identical taper, lay it down on top of the taper that is not quite done. You don't put it when it's really wet, but when it's not done, and it'll basically glue them together. And so you'll have this perfect back to it that matches. And if it's off a little bit, you can sand it a little on the edges. So now we're going to go over this with our pine cone, the same color that we used on our frame. I'm going to go over the whole thing, and there is a little twist to this one, so hang in there for that. So I go over the whole thing, and I'm going to go over all three of them, front and back. So after they have dried completely, we're going to get our montage of different paint colors out that we had before. And we're going to basically do the same thing. and I'm going to go over it with the green. And of course, all of the other different colors. So now what I'm doing is I am adding a different twist to this one. I am adding some Sweet Pickins milk paint in the color Tickle Pink. And it's kind of a darker peachy type color pink. And I'm going to add that to this whole thing here. And we're, again, we're doing 50%, 50-50 milk paint to water. I'm going to let that sit. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to make sure it's completely dry. I'm going to go over this again with the flour sack milk paint by Sweet Pickins. And again, we're doing kind of a dry brush. Dry brush means you don't load up your brush every time, but I'm actually putting paint on my brush. I'm adding paint to it. I'm just not trying to get all of those little crevices and things, because what would be the point in putting all those layers on if you don't see part of them? So anyway, we're going to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry that flour sack completely. And I'm going to be using, again, my heat gun, because I want to make sure that I get every little bit of crackle that I can get. That's the point in using the milk paint, is getting all those little fine crackle. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking my Sweet Pickins Tickled Pink, and I'm mixing it a little bit with the rose watercolor. And I'm adding a lot more pink to this. So these little tapers are going to have more pink to it. But the pink is going to vary in color. And the fact that I'm using the milk paint with it, it's going to have, the pink is going to have even more crackle. So we couldn't just put regular paint on it. And as you can see, I'm just blending the two colors together. And of course, some parts I'm not blending, some I'm putting separate. And I'm going over the flour sack with it, although I am leaving a lot of the flour sack to where you can see it. So these are going to be a little bit more pink than our frame was. And that's the point in adding the other pink. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I went ahead and sprayed it with my top coat of dead flat in my spray bottle. The dead flat top coat is great because it is truly dead flat. And there's a lot of times when you do pieces where you want it to be flat. And also, guys, you may want to not even want to put the oil wax on because the oil wax does make things darker. What I usually do is I will dry brush over a piece if it looks too dark when I'm done. But I mean, I think these look pretty cool before I put the wax on. But I add that other layer to it because I really want to pronounce that crackle that we achieved. Although I do think you can see a lot of it. Here, I'm comparing the two so you can see what it looks like with the wax and without it. And here what I'm doing is I'm going back over my piece with a little bit of the white, and then I'm going to go over it with a little bit of the pink just to brighten it up a little. And then again, I will spray the dead flat mixed with water, and I'll spray, because you have to seal your chalk paint every time you add chalk paint because it's not sealed. And that will be the final sealer. And what that does is it brightens up your piece after you've put the wax on it. So every time I do put that sealer on, I take my heat gun and I again go and try and bring out as much crackle as possible, because that dead flat with water is a water-based sealer. And anytime you add water to the milk paint, you're reactivating it. So that's why I go ahead and I use the heat gun every time I spray that on there. And you're doing two things. You're sealing it, and then you're getting more crackle. So if sometimes maybe you're using your milk paint, you didn't get enough crackle, add some, water-based sealer to it. Anyway, I like the dead flat when I'm using milk paint just because of the way it looks. So now what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and I'm using that same gold wax from Paint Couture. I love this color wax. It's I don't know, it's just the perfect gold. It really, really is. So I go over that, and then again, I'm going to go ahead and add Paint Couture's French Gold, which I absolutely love. It's kind of a cross between silver and a very light gold. And I add it over all of the spots where I put the gold wax because I want there to be a variation in color, and there's enough of a difference between those two that it looks like some of it's worn off. It's not perfect. And of course, I'm not looking for perfect coverage on the wax. I kind of hit the same spots where I put the other gold, just because I want you to see the variation in the gold. I mean, just like the variation in the paint, the variation in the gold will add interest and make it look even more old. Anyway, that's why I add the two. And I go back and forth until I get the right mixture of what I like. Now, the one thing I have to say is I definitely recommend that every time you use the any type of the metallic paint, that you definitely mix it, because all of that mixture will be at the bottom, and you want to make sure you mix it really well. And you really, really cannot tell what that metallic paint's going to look like until it's dry. So now what you see me doing is I have a teeny tiny little drill bit that I am drilling a tiny little hole at the top of these little angels. And then I have some, it's a super glue with a spray accelerant that I put on there, and I'm putting a tiny drop of glue. And then I have this screw on little eyelet, and you just screw it in. And I want the glue in there for added protection. And I put my spray sealant on there that makes it instant. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking some vintage, or really it's antique lace that I have, and I'm just tying a hanger on the top, and our project is done, and I love these.
Oh, yeah. Carolers are singing outside our door. Lovely songs we all heard before. As we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Yeah. A Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas Day. Jingle bells.
Well, thanks for watching. If you happen to need any IOD, Fusion, Paint Couture, Pentart products, Sweet Pickins, Milk Paint, JRV, recycled or decoupage paper, you can get that on my website, rehatchdesigns.com. We are running a Black Friday special, and you put in the code BLACK25 and you'll get 10% off your entire order, and some other special goodies that go along with that. Anyway, I will be putting out a video on Saturday, and it'll be all about Ralph Lauren. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.